What's going on, Bulls fans? We're back for another edition of Chicago Bulls Central. It's me, your host, Haize. Make sure you're following the podcast at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform that we're on. We're not on every social media platform quite yet. Now that we're doing video consistently, I'm probably going to start up an Instagram for it. We have a Twitter for it. Any other social media platforms you think Chicago Bulls Central should be on, let me know. I'll start doing my work to get it on there, because ultimately, I really want this platform, and it's not just about me, right? This platform is about the Chicago Bulls and for Bulls fans. And so overall, what I want this to become is a reflection of the listenership, a reflection of me, a reflection of course, the Chicago Bulls. And just overall, I want this to be as interactive as possible. So maybe Discord is something I need to look into as well, so we can all join and have a conversation. So yeah, things that I'm looking into. Kick around. Let me know what you guys think about it. I know I'm just jumping off the show, asking you guys questions, but down in the comment section, do me a favor. Let me know what other platforms you think Chicago Bulls Central should be on. And yeah, we'll work on making that happen. But nonetheless, I told you guys, I just dropped a video a couple of days ago at this point, and I told you guys I'll be coming back in a couple of days for a full episode. And so, we don't have a super lot to go off of. The Bulls haven't made any more moves since the Lauri trade or anything. It really hasn't been a lot going on. I think at this point, if the Bulls do make another move, it's not going to be anything major. At least that's what I think. Yeah, AK could show us something different there, but that's just where my head is right now with it. And if they do, I'll be here to report on it. But so one of the things that did happen is, as everyone knows, Lauri Markkanen was traded, and so we finally got a statement coming out from Lauri, I should say. And so I'm just gonna read this off and let you know what you guys think about it. So Lauri's statement was, "The last couple of years have been mentally pretty tough. I've grown as a person because of that, so I wouldn't change it. I've learned a lot, but I just feel like I need to get back to the old me and how I know I can play the game. I think it's a good opportunity for me to do that. I'm happy. I'm really excited and looking forward. We kind of felt I needed a fresh start, and I appreciate all the people who were involved to help facilitate it and make it happen." So also in this, Lauri says that he doesn't think he's hit his ceiling, and that's again, I know some of the Bulls fan base has turned on Lauri Markkanen and think he's a bust. They act like he's terrible. I've said that before. I don't subscribe to that thinking. I think Lauri Markkanen, in the right situation, could be a very good to great player in this league. I still believe that. Now, that may be proven to be false. I may have too much confidence in him, but I really do think that Lauri still has that capability. He's 24 years old. And even removed, he's a player that averaged, 18 and 8 or something like that. And with his skill set, like I said, if you put him in the right situation, he was drafted to the Chicago Bulls, a team that went in the rebuild, and right or wrong, he was looked at as the player that we're going to be building around. Now that ended up turning into Zach Lavine, thank God, but he was thrust into that position. He was a 7th overall pick. He is a European big man who can shoot. He shot 40% from 3. He can put the ball on the floor a little bit. And when he's aggressive, Lauri can be a very good player. He's a player that, like I said, in the right situation, you do have to work into your game plan if you're the opposing team. And I think this is just an opinion, right? Because this is something that kind of goes overlooked. Now that Patrick Williams is going to be slotted to play the 4. Lauri, we don't know if he's going to start or not for the Cavaliers. Like I said before in the last episode, depending on what they do with Kevin Love and if they plan on, throwing Mobley out there to start right away, or they plan to bring him along slowly, we could see Lauri Markkanen starting at the 4. We could see 4 games of Patrick Williams versus Lauri Markkanen going at each other and guarding each other primarily the whole game. And if you don't think Lauri Markkanen is going to have something to prove when he looks at the player that he basically was replaced by, and I know it wasn't directly replaced by, but you know what I mean. And then again, this is going to be something for Patrick Williams. Not to say that Patrick Williams is going to have that in his mind, I need to shut down Lauri to show who I am, but I'm just saying that's going to be an interesting matchup and an interesting thing to play off each other to really see what that is. And if Lauri comes out and tries to bust the Bulls' ass, don't be surprised if a couple of games out of those 4 games, Lauri really does show some shit. So, Lauri Markkanen, I really do think you get him in the right position. That's what's so sucky about, everything that happened over Lauri's career. Boylen, we already talked about all that. But when you think about had we been able to keep Lauri happy and had, maybe this team be constructed in a different way, having Lonzo Ball coming in, playing with Lauri Markkanen could have really, really been good. But, woulda, coulda, shoulda. At this point, I'm happy with what the Bulls did. They made the moves that they needed to make. I'm happy with the roster, and we're going to get to see what Lauri does now in a fresh start. And, if you're rooting for him, it sucks that he's still in the same division, because if he has success, that means that some of that success is probably going to come against us. But overall, Lauri is one of those players that I'm still going to look out for Lauri's career, and I wish him the best. And, let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think Lauri is going to be able to fit on this Cavaliers team? Do you think that he hasn't hit his ceiling yet, like what he said? Or do you subscribe to some Bulls thoughts on maybe Lauri's washed up and he's done? Well, I guess it's all going to be put on the floor and told in the game. Next up, Zach Lavine signing with Klutch Sports. Now, this is a great move on so many different levels for Zach, right? Zach's coming off his best statistic year, one of his best efficient years as far as scoring the basketball wise, coming off an Olympics gold medal run in which he had a stretch where he played very well in and he contributed to. He's going to come into the season with the utmost confidence. And when you look at, and this is all coming also in a contract year form. So it's all of a perfect storm. So Zach Lavine signing to Klutch Sports really just solidifies the fact that he's ascending to being one of the best players at his position in the NBA. The confidence in himself, the betting on himself, and even Klutch Sports being willing, to sign on him. Zach Lavine, I think this season is going to prove he's one of the better players at his position in the NBA. Well, he's already proved that. And, with Zach, right, he is going to be out to prove. Now, hopefully he does it within the structure of the game. The last thing that you want to see is Zach really out to get his numbers, to prove it, to earn this contract. Because I think with this season, Zach's numbers should take a hit, right? But hopefully that efficiency goes up because he's playing on a better team, playing with an actual point guard, and hopefully we run a system that can highlight his strengths. But this signing in Klutch Sports, I know some of the conversations like, oh, well, now he's going to be recruited away. Is he going to – listen, everybody on Klutch Sports does not end up going to LeBron's team. I understand why people think that. I even understand why some of the mindset goes to that immediately. But this is just solidifying the fact that Zach Lavine is a premier player in this league. He's going to be out to prove it. He's going to be out to get the respect in the deal in which he talked about before. And overall, that does nothing but bode well for the future of this team and the future of Zach Lavine as our franchise player. I know, and I get a lot of people, you have to have a player as good or better than Zach if you really want to win a championship. And I'm not taking away from any of that. But Zach Lavine, ultimately for the Bulls to go and for this offseason to be as successful long-term as what it can be, it all boils down to Zach Lavine re-signing with the Chicago Bulls and Klutch Sports being in this. I don't think that it does anything negative to the Bulls' chances to re-sign them. If anything, this just shows that Zach Lavine is a player that we need to keep and a player that is going to be getting notice in the NBA at a level that he probably never has before. It sucks that the Bulls don't have more nationally televised games, but best believe before the end of the season, Zach Lavine's name is going to be even bigger than what it is. It is like this signing the Klutch Sports, more endorsements, commercials, maybe some movies. Like, it's so many things that what that can do for Zach's career, even outside of basketball, but that also brings notice to the Chicago Bulls if he ends up staying here, which we hope that he does. And it also makes the Chicago Bulls more of a premier team for players and marquee players to want to come and play with. So this is nothing but positive right now. Like, it could very well go left. Like, let me be clear. That could go left, but let's hope that it doesn't. And, overall, we need Zach happy. We need Zach at his most confident, and him coming off this Olympic run with a much better team, at least on paper. Bulls are going to be exciting to watch this year, which we already knew as Chicago Bulls fans. Number 3 on my list of topics to talk about today, the Trailblazers have come out, or at least a report from Shams has come out, that the Trailblazers do not plan on trading away Damian Lillard. They do plan on building around him. And so what that means as far as how it affects the Bulls, we have their first-round pick going into next year's draft. If they do plan on keeping Lillard happy and keeping him long term, it means that they plan on putting a good team out on the floor, which means that they'll probably make the playoffs, which there in turn means that that's not going to be a lottery pick and we get to keep that first round pick. Now, I do want to say that this could go a couple of different ways. They could publicly be saying that they don't plan on trading away Damian Lillard because that helps keep his trade value from going down. Once teams know that you are planning to get rid of a player, I'm sure it affects your ability to maneuver and the type of deals that are offered, because then it's looked at as, well, they're getting what they have to get rid of him. He wants out of there. But at this point, you have to come out and say that. So, it could be some maneuvering, but if this is true and this is what ends up happening, that they plan on building around Damian and keeping him, then yeah, that's just good for the Bulls and that draft pick that they owe us. So let's hope that that's true. Let's hope that that it's not just words there. What do you guys think though? Do you guys think that Lillard's going to be traded before the end of the season? Now, we did get some rumors coming out that most execs do expect Ben Simmons to be traded at some point soon. I don't think the Bulls really. I'm not going to say they don't have interest in Ben Simmons. I just don't see how they do that deal unless you're going to wait to when DeRozan can be traded. Vucevic, unless you plan on Vucevic. I'm sorry, I don't remember. I should have wrote this down. One of the viewers on YouTube kind of broke down how I pronounce Vucevic. And I don't remember, but it was a really great phonetic way of spelling. I need to go back to it because I know I murder. And it's funny because I didn't even grow up in the state, well, somewhat, but I lived overseas a big chunk of my life in Germany, Italy. So like you would think that I'm better at pronouncing foreign names. I'm sorry. But unless they plan on trading one of the pieces they recently got to get Ben Simmons, then, I don't see the Bulls doing that, but weirder things have happened. But to get back to the question, what do you guys think is going to happen with Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers? Do you guys think they're going to trade him before the end of this season? I really don't care what they do with him after the season. It's all about this season because the Bulls have the pick, and that's what I'm worried about there. But let me know down below what you guys think. And then our very last topic for this week's episode, topic number 4, the Bulls have interest in signing Paul Millsap. I know I briefly touched on it, I think, on the episode prior, but this is kind of the first time that outside of just like rumors or whatever that, it's, I think Shams tweeted that one as well. Paul Millsap can't hurt. I don't think that if you're going to pad out the last couple of roster spots, or, I do think the Bulls are probably going to leave a roster spot open or maybe sign it with a non-guaranteed deal that they can cut at any time if they need to make a trade. But having a veteran of Paul Millsap's stature, right, the fact that, he's been very solid in this league, the way that he changed his game over his career, when you really look at what Paul Millsap was when he first started to what Paul Millsap ended with at his height, he added a lot to his game. It can't do nothing but help for young players like Marco, young players like Patrick Williams, hell, even Tony Bradley. It can't hurt. And even outside of just the same position, it can't hurt to have that veteran in your locker room. It can't hurt to have that leadership as well. And so, if that's who the route the Bulls end up going, then I don't mind it at all. It's not nothing that I see as anything that hurts the Bulls. I don't know how much it really helps. I don't expect, if they do sign Paul Millsap, for him to play 20 minutes a game or anything, but it helps. Now, I know there's also some Bulls fans that have this thing where we should sign Boogie Cousins, and I can see that as well. The thing with Boogie is, even last year, he still shows flashes. Like, yeah, it sucks that the injury, what that did to the longevity of his career, but Boogie Cousins, even if you can sign him and he gives you 10 games of being kind of close to the old Boogie Cousins, you want a player like that on your team. I just think that. And, like I said, and even with the fact that he probably wouldn't be looked at to play heavy minutes here, I don't necessarily mind that. I know some people are completely against that. Some people are all for it. But, I think with the way that the Bulls are filling out this roster spot, especially with the big man, I don't really think that they can go wrong with almost anyone that they sign to fill that position, because they're not going to be looked at or expected to do a lot, at least by the way that I'm guessing. Now, it could be wrong. I could be wrong, especially with injuries and stuff like that. Taking that into consideration, then I would definitely think Paul Millsap is probably more on the move there. I haven't done a lot of like what big men are really left out there in free agency, But I don't think you can go wrong with either one of those players. But let me know what you guys think. If you had to choose between Paul Millsap and Boogie Cousins, who would you pick between the two? Or if you have another big man target you would like to see the Bulls go after, leave that down below as well. Let's have that conversation. But that's been it for this episode of the Bull Central Podcast, Chicago Bull Central Podcast. I'm your host, CEO Haize. You can follow me personally at CEO Haize. You can follow the podcast at Bull Central Pod. Again, don't forget, let me know what platforms you would like to see us go to and what other things that you would like to see on this show. I know this is probably now the 4th video that I've released, but the 6th episode if you listen to the podcast version of it. And as we continue to build and try to figure this out, I'm filming on this. So if anyone who watches or listens to this listens to my other podcast, The Awakened Soul, and this is not me trying to plug it, they know I have multiple sets in the in my home studio, and I film it over on this. I film Chicago Bull Central over on this set specifically, just to separate it from what my other show looks like, to give it its own aesthetic. The camera angle is a lot closer on this one than it is there, and I really want this to feel like something completely different. I want this to be different than the other podcasts that I work on. So any suggestions or anything like that, I'm completely open to. Thank you for everyone who's left comments. Thank you for all the views. Like last week alone, and this isn't to brag, we had like 60 something watched hours of Chicago Bulls Central on YouTube. That I did not expect this at all. I started this as a passion project. Like I said in the first episode, I am a lifelong Chicago Bulls fan. My dad is from Chicago. He grew up in Chicago. I grew up as a Chicago sports fan, and I've always kicked around the idea of doing the Chicago Bulls podcast, but I was always hesitant to do it because there are so many great ones out there. But I started this as a passion project, something that I if you can't tell, like I don't do a lot of notes for this podcast. I write down things that have happened and come out in the news, but everything I fill that out with is all off the top of my head and all really off my own thoughts on this franchise. So it's a passion project. I really appreciate you guys for supporting me at the level that you have thus far, very early on into the run of this podcast. And I hope to have that continued support. And hopefully I'm delivering on content that is enjoyable for Bulls fans and, anyone else around the league. Next episode, I'll probably do some conversation on that Malice in the Palace documentary. I know that's not Bulls news at all, but I think that was such a great documentary. I do want to talk about it a little bit, so that'll probably be the next little mini drop that I do. But until then, I'm Haize. Go Bulls. I'll see you guys whenever I drop another episode. Peace.